always doing something naughty, nasty, misogynistic, whatever. Donald Trump reposts sexually crass comment about the Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris. Well, Trump shared some shockingly gross post online about Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton. Well, look at this.
He took it to a whole other level. The former president of the United States, who wants to be the next president, is now directly spreading the slogans of the conspiracy cult QAnon, as well as posting a crude, sexist, and misogynistic slur online. Reposting, to be precise, which means he didn't come up with it himself, but liked it so much that he wanted the rest of the world to see it, which is both a gentle introduction and a warning. One posting of several uses two QAnon catchphrases: "Nothing can stop what is coming," which refers to the so-called mass arrests of so-called deep state members, which in the warped world of QAnon is basically anyone who has irked Donald Trump. Then there is this, a photo of Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton. The caption, which I'm not going to read out, is demeaning of both women and contains a vulgar reference to oral sex acts.
He's at the top of the ticket on the Republican side. It's supposed to be, I think, when you run the contest, cream rises to the top, the best, the brightest. But look at the post in question and you tell me if Donald Trump fits the bill. It's rhetorical. We both know the answer. All of us know the answer to this. Disgusting. It's disgusting. The word has been, for your sanity, censored. But I think we know where he's going with this. We're dumber. We're dumber for having to endure this guy. Okay? But he's like one of those little fruit flies. There's one in my office. They won't go away. Every time you get a sweet beverage or frankly, just lemon water. Why are you back? Why are you back? I asked the same of Donald Trump and his supporters. CNN's Casey Hunt asked one of Donald Trump's senior campaign aides, Jason Miller. It's weird to call Jason Miller a senior campaign aide, but for that side, I guess. She asked about the post in an interview, so listen to this.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
Mr. Trump, he posted a pretty crude, reposted a pretty crude image or comment, I should say, about Kamala Harris, the sitting vice president. It also mentioned Hillary Clinton, who, of course, Mr. Trump ran against in 2016. What would you say to the vice president of the United States about the comment that he reposted?
Well, I saw the social media post. I have not discussed that with the president. I don't know if the president even saw the comment that was on there or simply the picture. But I would say with regard to Kamala Harris, the attacks that have been levied by Kamala Harris's, both the campaign, by Harris allies against President Trump, not just recently, but over the past year and a half, 2 years, ever since he came down the escalator, quite frankly, in the case of many left of center people, have been quite horrific. All of this, though, Casey, is a distraction for the real issues that are going on right now.
What was reposted? I mean,
Oh, 100 times worse, Casey, 100 times worse.
So he's lying. Jason Miller, the senior campaign aide, is lying, and he's not answering the question while he's doing it. She asked Casey Hunt of CNN, what would you say to the candidate who reposted this misogynistic, disgusting display? And he didn't want to answer the question. I wouldn't either, okay? I might just get on there and say, I need the paycheck, so just ask him. Now, I'll get him on a party line for you. You can ask him directly. I don't know. If you're going to come on, answer the question. Oh, he did. He probably didn't even see it. He saw it. That's why he reposted it. Duh. He's not the only one making crude remarks. Another usual suspect, radio host Eric Erickson. Okay, let's listen to this one.
If Kamala Harris could get in office and ensure she'd never leave again, she'd do it. Kamala Harris has done nothing but climb the ladder of power since the moment she got up off her knees in front of Willie Brown, to put it bluntly to you.
Takes one to know one. I don't know why you're doing this. Oh, I do. Because you don't have substantive things to talk about? You don't have worthy things to discuss. So you're in the gutter. You probably like it there, okay? Swimming with the catfish. Yes, I don't even know if I'm making sense. I'm just so sick of the garbage It's
Yeah.
garbage. It's soiled nastiness. And so I need you to kind of frame it and make the argument so that the rest of us can consume it, please.
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself. It makes you feel dumb, right? It's like we
Yeah.
got into this
Yeah.
line of work to talk about big ideas, and this is what we're talking about instead. You know, all like the misogynistic posts, the QAnon stuff in his post that he's sharing. Is this really Trump's truth? Is this the truth that he was so desperate to get out into the world that he created his entire own social media platform and called it Truth Social? It is a little ironic because Trump himself never really addresses these things that he says and does himself. He's got all kinds of surrogates making the media rounds for him. You've got people like Jason Miller, Stephen Miller, Alina Habba, Corey Lewandowski now, and even his own VP pick, JD Vance, who have all been given the unenviable task of speaking on behalf of Trump, of explaining his words and actions and what he really meant to the American people. And Trump has to use surrogates for this because, first of all, he can't be trusted to say the right thing the first time, but then he can't be trusted to explain himself when he's asked about it later. He can't even be trusted to stay focused long enough on a single issue to address the thing that he's supposed to be addressing. At a rally when he was supposed to be talking about economic policy, he couldn't stop talking about Kamala Harris and her cover on Time magazine. But this is all just your run-of-the-mill misogyny, and it was honestly to be expected. As Anderson Cooper, he pointed out later in that interview, these are two of the most accomplished women in American political history, but plenty of men are out there ready to say that they haven't done enough to deserve things like the presidency or any kind of prestige in American politics. I've seen it amongst people I know personally, people who I already believe to be misogynist. And yet you look at Trump. He doesn't have a history of much of anything good. He's a businessman who doesn't pay his workers or contractors. He's more known for scamming people than for building businesses that benefit the American people. He's never struggled with anything but his own ego in his life. And the problems he does have now were entirely brought on by his own words and his own behaviors. And yet he somehow is not held to the same impossible standard that people like Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris are. And this is all evident that Trump has no idea how to run against one, a worthy presidential opponent, and also a woman of color. His old tricks of making fun of how old and senile Joe Biden are they're just not going to work here. His personal attacks now can only be seen as misogynistic and or racist, and he's behaving exactly the way we all knew he would. He can't help himself. Trump is his own worst enemy, and we're seeing all of that play out now.
Wow. I'm cheering you on. You said it all fabulously. And it just begs one last question. Why would good people like Jason Miller and Eric Erickson go out and peddle in this filth, swim in this swamp with Trump? And then I was reminded, just a little nugget, in unsealed court documents from a defamation case Miller filed against someone. Miller admitted to hiring prostitutes and having extramarital affairs with two campaign staffers. I mean, it's in the court documents, so that takes him out of the mix. What about Eric Erickson? Oh, yeah, I had forgotten he spread that false story by Red State, claiming that 17-year-old Parkland, Florida school shooting survivor and activist now, David Hodge, wasn't really there. So that explains the host too. Okay, I could go on and on. There's others, but those are the ones we mentioned in the story. Yes, at this point, it's sick, it's disgusting, but it's as if every time JD Vance, Eric Erickson, Jason Miller, and Donald Trump open their mouths, it should come with like a laugh track, a Hollywood laugh track.
Yeah, that would be
Serious.
more appropriate, because that's really what it feels like. I remember when he was first running for president, there were all these clips coming out with the music, the theme song from Curb Your Enthusiasm behind Trump. And that's even more funny now that RFK Jr. has endorsed Trump and his wife was on Curb Your Enthusiasm. So It's weird how all these things come full circle. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but it's amusing for me.
Yeah, he doesn't know either. This is, they're living in some fake reality, or as Kellyanne Conway, what is it? This alternative facts.
An alternate reality with alternate facts.
Right. That's right. I had to tell one of my Republican friends off this morning about this alternate. I said, listen, I have things to do. And I will not exist in this altered state with you. Now go away. Okay.
Yeah.
And he laughed and he said, I'll call you another day. I said, that's fine. But don't bring this alternative reality with you.
You've had quite a day.
I've had quite a day, and thank you. Okay, so you're going to have to do the heavy lifting here because they exhaust me.